Right. Yeah, I can. I apologize. I can barely hear you, so I don't know what you're saying. That's better. Yeah, now we can hear you. Yeah, and your name? Okay, great. And you need to complete the counseling, correct? Okay, so I see it's Charmin Spencer. Okay, and are you there together? Okay, and the final counseling takes about 20 minutes to complete. You have time to do that now? Okay, great. And when you're registered for the course, it required you create an email address and a password. Can you verify those for us, please? Okay, great. And then your purpose or reason for completing the course? Okay, got it. So this is, okay, so we're going to do some credit counseling for you here, which is a little bit different than we normally do, which is perfectly fine. It's a lot of fun to do this. So let's take a look here. So first step, so you're trying to qualify to buy a house, is that right? Okay, all right, let's see what we have here. So let's take a look at step one. So you switched jobs, you accepted a lower paying job, which caused it to struggle financially. In addition, okay, so you switched jobs and had an income reduction. Before you did that, did you have an emergency fund in place? Okay, so no emergency fund. And so let me get some comments in here, as I am required to put together comments as well. And counseling for a mortgage company. All right, and so do you have steady income in the household? Okay. Okay, so steady income, you're a two-income household. Are you currently following a budget? Okay, so you're not using a budget. Okay, no, this is all good information for us to know. Okay, and so we're not using a budget. And let's take a look at the liabilities real quick. So let's get in here, and we may have to edit step 2 a little bit. Okay, so you have rent, and so that wouldn't go in step 2 because we only worry about mortgages on step 2. So do you have auto loans? Okay, step 2 asks for loan balances, and you put the monthly payment. So what are your auto loan balances? Well, yeah, that would be your loan balances, correct. Okay. Okay, so all right, we'll just say 25,000 in car loans. Okay. And okay, you have student loan debts. What's the dollar amount in the student loan debts? Okay, so 50,000 in student loans. Okay, we got that. So we got to get step 2 correct so that you can get a better appreciation for your financial situation. So credit card debts, what's the total balance of credit card debts? Okay, so that's correct, $1,000. And 100 in medical debts? Okay, so 1,000 in medical. And do you have any utilities and collections? Okay, so no utilities and collections, so we'll zero that out. Yeah, back taxes of $1,700. And then you put other debts of $300. What is that? Sure. Right. Okay, so that's an expense, so we won't put that in there. Okay, so we have the student loans, we have the car loans, and a little bit of credit card debts. Okay, do you have any other debts that aren't listed on here? Civil judgments or anything like that? Timeshares? Okay, all right. So this is the extent of your liabilities. We have Okay, so you have some in a 401k, you have life insurance policies. Okay, so let's take a look here at what we have now. So do you have, next question is, do you have any wage garnishments or judgments? Okay, so no garnishments, judgments, you have debts and collections? Okay. Right, and I read your comments here, and I want to get back to that. So you paid off, so you took all your money, paid off your debts, but when you did that, you put yourself into a financial bind by doing that. So basically you took an all or nothing approach and tried to pay off your debts, but then you fell behind on your other bills. And so I want to make a comment here to, you want to focus on balance. I don't know if you were trying to follow the Dave Ramsey plan where he takes all his money and pays off the debts. In the meantime, you could go into worse financial difficulties when you take that approach. You always want to take a balanced approach to your finances. And what I mean by that is that if you decide to pay off debts, a good plan is a debt snowball plan, which you can learn about in our books that we'll talk about here. But you always take a balanced approach. These all or nothing approaches do not work. They will put you in more financial difficulty than if you had done nothing at all. As you learned, unfortunately, because if you have an emergency, you can't call the credit card company and say, oh, by the way, that check I just sent you, I need that money back because my car just broke down, or I just lost my job, can you send me the money back? No, it doesn't work. So that's why you always, if you had $1,000 and you had to pay off some debts, and you had no emergency fund, well, your best bet would be to put, half of that into your emergency fund and then use the other half to pay off your debts. Because as soon as you send all that money to the credit card company, guess what? An emergency happens and you're sitting there with no reserve or no cash. And then you get into desperate things and do desperate things, like take out 401k loans and do silly things, which are not recommended. So just always remember the word balance. Now, so let's take a look here at step number 3, your debt to income ratio. So the household gross monthly pay is at $4,500, correct? Okay, and then we have your rent, we have the car payment is at $545, child support, and your debt to income ratio is at 52%. Well, that gives you and us a good indication of your financial distress. Debt's current, let's see here, debt to income ratio is 52%. Your goal is to get down to around 32%. That way you can start living your life in financial balance and achieving financial goals. Well, for your benefit, we do provide that form free on our website. That allows you to do an analysis at any time, now or in the future. So before you take out any more financial debts, personal loans, car loans, even a home loan, you could use this debt to income ratio form to make sure that you're not putting yourself into unmanageable debts, and also that way you're not solely relying on salespeople and their formulas, which may be skewed to their benefits as well. And so you want to be careful. You want to be aware of what you're doing and not solely relying on someone else who has a vested interest in selling you something. Does that make sense? Also on our website, we have a free finance book, we have a free budget book, and our free budget sheets. These are resources to help you learn more about personal finances, and it will cover a lot of what I'm discussing here in this course in more detail. And so you can sit down and digest a lot of that. And so my goal is to build a financial plan or give you financial tips that will help you maintain financial solvency and have financial habits for the rest of your life. Okay? Not just for a short period of time. And so that's going to help you out here. So let's take a look here at step number 4, debt payments to disposable income ratio based on your net take-home, 4,100 take-home. And then we have your debt payments based on this ratio is at 31%. And that's 31% is pretty high. Your goal is to be down around 12 to 15% so you can start living your life again in financial balance. And so these ratios are good for you to see and understand, especially before you buy a house. This education is key because when you buy a house, here's what happens. Everybody's excited. They get the keys to the house, they move in, and they start looking around and they go, oh my God, we want to paint this room. We want to put window coverings in this room. We want to do this. We got to landscape the yard. And you're looking at your neighbors and everybody has their stuff laid out the way they want, and all of a sudden you're going, well, no, this isn't how we want it to look, so you want to change everything because you want to get caught up really quick. And you didn't have any money in savings in the first place when you bought the house. So what do? Well, you do what everybody does. You take credit cards, and all of a sudden you start charging on your credit cards to get the house the way you want it. A gallon of paint today is $60. Did you know that? 1 gallon of paint, 1 gallon of good indoor or outdoor paint, you're looking at $50 to $60 for a gallon. Oh yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. So you want to paint that 1 bedroom and it takes you 3 gallons? You're looking at $150. That's just for paint. Then you got to get tape, masking, the everything that goes with it. Landscaping, you want to buy 1 plant, all of that adds up really quick. And all of a sudden you start doing all these things. And all of a sudden one of your cars breaks down. Well, you got to get to work. What are you going to do? Use your credit card. Use your credit card. Use your credit card to paint the rooms. Use your credit card to landscape the house. Use your credit card to fix your car. All of a sudden you got $10,000 in credit card debts, and boom, you just got notice that your job is ending in a month. Now you're going to go from 2 incomes to 1 income. You bought the house based on 2 incomes, right? So you qualified for the house based on 2 incomes. Your budget and expenses all work based on 2 incomes. Well, all of a sudden, oh, congratulations, you're expecting. Okay? Well, this is life. This is life. Say, all of a sudden you went from a 2-income household where your budget was okay, just okay. Now you went down to 1 income. Now, and we didn't have an emergency fund in place. We had no backup plan. We do have our 401ks, so when I leave my job, I'm just going to liquidate my 401k. Do you know how much of the money you would get out of your 401k if you liquidate a 401k? You get about 60 to 65% of that money. The other 30 to 35% you just burnt. You just went in the trash can. You just gave it all to the government. So it's a horrible plan. I'm not saying the 401k is a horrible plan. I'm saying not having a plan when you buy a house is a horrible plan. Houses are a money pit. They're very expensive. They're fun. I love ownership. I've done it my whole life. But it's an expensive. It is. Anything that breaks, guess what? You're not calling the landlord. You're the landlord. So let's get down here. So your debt to income ratios are not where we want them to be. So let's see if we can't build a financial plan for you. So now we want to build a budget. So when you put together a budget, you want to build a plan that's simple, repeatable, and something you're going to succeed at. And so our budget sheet is 1 piece of paper. And we have also an interactive budget on our website. So you can enter the numbers and then print off your budget sheet. Whatever you're comfortable with, keep your budgeting simple so you will succeed and repeat at it. And so right now you could finish your December budget, or you could do a weekly budget. Whatever you find works best for you. Make it work for you, but make something that you will use and it's repeatable. So right now, and you want to track your flexible expenses in your budget, and we'll get to that. Your flexible expenses are things like groceries, entertainment, clothing, and spending. These items you want to track using either a smartphone, a notepad. If you're good with numbers, a lot of people use their head. They just track the numbers in their head. They know if their monthly budget for groceries is $300 per month, and they go every week, and they keep it within that $75 range. And if you go over 1 week, I'm going to teach you how to have a successful budget. I'll teach you how to do that. So let's see here. We have your car payments, your fixed expenses come in at $1,600. Now we get groceries, cell phone, electricity. So you have no internet or cable TV package, is that right? Okay. Right. So we have you have student loan payments at $300 per month. Entertainment at $150. Okay, put college savings and spending. Okay. So we have a decent looking budget, a good start. So now I want to get down to some priorities. This is a net budget sheet. So I base this off your net take home. So we wouldn't put in your 401k or retirement planning in this budget. because this budget is based on your net take home. So I'm going to focus on some key goals here. Number one goal is we need to protect your family's finances. So how do you protect your family's finances? Well, you can't go to your insurance agent and buy a policy to insure your income, can you? He'll sell you life insurance, house insurance, car insurance, even pet insurance, but you cannot get insurance for your income. So how do we insure your income if you lose your job? What we want to do is, this is your number, now we're getting to the real good stuff. Your number one priority is we want to build an emergency savings account. Okay, this is it. This is the number one. Between the age of 16 and 65, that's 50 years, you'll need an emergency fund 10 to 20 times during your wealth accumulating years. And without a proper emergency fund, you're a walking bankruptcy. 9 times out of 10, the emergency fund is needed and used for loss of income. So I always set the goal based on income to get up to 6 months gross income. So you said your net take home is $4,100 in the household. That's your take home? Okay, and the household, what does the household gross pay? If your take home's 41, then your gross must be about what, 6,500? Well, if your gross is 45 after taxes, and if your health insurance is taken out, that would put your net down around 3,000 a month. Okay, well, let's try and get an average here. So he works a little bit of overtime. What's your net take home? So let's try and get a number to build an accurate budget with. Because obviously there's periods of time where he may not get overtime. Okay, so 3,800 is what we'll use. Okay, because you don't want to set a high number for your budget and all of a sudden you can't meet your expenses. So the budget I'll work off as 3,800, fixed expenses at 1,450, then we have your groceries, and so there's only 2 of you in the household. So there's 4 of you, so you're probably spending closer to $600 a month for groceries, correct? Okay, so I'll put 400 in there. Okay, and you have no cable TV at all? You have no internet? Okay, so you have, okay, so that's like $20 a month. And then, so you have no internet in the house? Right. Okay. Okay. That's fine. I understand. So your budget, well, okay, so what I want to focus on here is, again, back to the emergency fund. Okay? So again, this is a high priority. If you're not putting a dime into an emergency fund, you should not be putting a dime into your retirement account. This is how important that emergency fund is, especially if you're going to buy a house. Okay? Because if you don't have a proper support or financial backup and one of you loses your jobs, guess what? They're knocking on your door to tow your car away, and then pretty soon the sheriff's coming and they're putting a foreclosure notice on your door because you didn't make your mortgage payments. Okay? So the emergency fund is that's your priority. This is it. Because you're not going to dip into your 401ks, because that's just a recipe for disaster. That just compounds the problem. Because when you dip into your 401ks and take out the 401k loans, then your budget's just going to reduce. And then you figure out, well, we don't have as much money each month because, well, we're paying those 401k loans. That's why. So it bought you a little more time, but it didn't fix your problem, where the emergency fund can fix a problem. So we would set a goal for your emergency fund to be 6 months gross income. Okay? So for your household, we would set a goal to be right at $27,000 as a 7-year goal. Okay? And that would be saving, let's see here, get that right. That would be saving right at $320 per month. That's less than 10% of your take-home pay. So let's start out with, we'll see what we can put in here. We'll build a baseline budget. Okay, so we're going to put 300 into that, start out at 300 into the emergency fund. Where do you put that money? You want that money to be FDIC insured and liquid. So right now the online savings accounts or the virtual banks, they're paying at or above 1% annual yield with no minimums, no fees, and they link to your checking account. That's a good example of where your emergency money would go. That's beating the money market accounts, and that's beating the brick and mortar banks hands down. These online accounts, savings accounts, are the largest in the world for that very reason. They're paying at or above 1% annual yield, no fees, no minimums, and they link to your checking account, and they're federally insured. Same as your bank savings account, but the interest rate is much higher and there's no fees in that. So you can find those online. They're all over the place, and they're good accounts. And they're federally insured, so they're perfectly safe. And many of those banks have been around for hundreds of years. Okay, that's your emergency fund. Now we've just protected your income. Now you need to protect your budget. So we build a second savings account. This is at your bank, your revolving savings account. This account is to protect your budget. The month that your budget just totally falls apart, it explodes. You have certification, registration, licensing fees you forgot about. You get a bill that you forgot to pay from the month before. Mother-in-law comes to visit for a couple of weeks. Where's all this money coming to cover all this cost? The revolving savings account is what does that. And this is your passbook savings account at your bank. We set a goal for that to be 20% of your monthly gross income. And so for your household, we'd set a goal of $900 to $1,000. And we'll budget, we'll put $200, $250 a month into that. Okay? Maybe we'll try and squeeze in $250 starting out. Okay? Now, what does that do for you? Well, that covers all those things that happen every month that you forgot to cover. That way your budget will always balance every month. No matter what happens, if you make a mistake, you have the revolving savings account to cover your budget. You never use your emergency fund to balance your budget. Okay? You use the revolving savings account. That emergency fund is like the golden egg sitting there that if your husband loses his job and he can't find a job for 3 or 4 months, you're living off that emergency fund. That way they're not taking your car and they're not putting a note on your door for foreclosure. Okay? The next thing I want you to think about is your cars. I want you to stop financing cars the rest of your life. Simple strategy. Once your car is paid off. So your car is paid off, you no longer have car payments. Drive that car as long as you can. Let's say you can get 6 more years out of that car. This is a simple strategy. So you drive that car another 6 years. During that 6 years, you're going to make car payments to yourself at $300 per month. That's going to give you over $21,000, almost $22,000 in cash, plus your trade-in to buy a brand new car. You go to the dealership, you drive off the lot with a title in hand. You didn't finance it. You have title ownership. What does this do for you? Well, you have title in hand. So if you lose your job, no one's towing your car off because you couldn't make the payments. Also, it saved you thousands of dollars in not making interest payments and finance fees on car loans. And also, you didn't have to burn up your emergency fund by making car payments if you lost your job. So the next new car, let's say you drive that next new car for 8 years. And during that 8 years, you save $300 per month again. That's going to give you almost $29,000 in cash to buy your next new car. See how that works? You just do that the rest of your life. It's a simple strategy. That way you never finance a car again in your life. And that will save you thousands and thousands of dollars over the long run. So we got the emergency fund, #1 priority. Then we got the revolving savings account to protect your budget, and then we talked about the car financing. You have questions about any of this? It works. Okay, we got to put some clothing in this budget as well. I'll do that. Okay, so I'll email a copy of this budget to you with the notes and comments that I put together for you. Okay, but other than that, I wish you the best of luck. And also, I recommend check your credit reports. You can get those for free at annualcreditreport.com. That's the only official website to get free credit reports from. And check those out. And I will email some notes and comments that I put together for you as well, okay? Yeah, I'll put that in the comments for you as well. And check those credit reports for accuracy, name, spelling, social security number, current and previous addresses, employers. Make sure that everything is accurate. If you see any discrepancies or errors, make sure you follow through and get those protected or corrected. So let's see here. 27,000 is what we set for your goal. And so, but other than that, I wish you the best of luck, and I'll get your certificate out to you and your attorney, and it should be, or not your attorney, but to your, well, you gave your email address, so I'll get your email address to you, so it'll be covered, so, okay? You got it, let me see, sharmcamwhite@gmail.com. Okay, I'll get this out and have a great day, and best of luck to you as well, okay? Well, if you follow those steps I told you, you'll be ahead of 99% of your peers. Okay? Okay. All right. Well, good luck to you, Sharman. Have a great day, okay? You're welcome. Okay. Bye-bye.